realistic side of the ja'al, which is the designation, the action of do. The second thing, the second example will be Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wa ja'ala adh-dhulumat wan-nur. All praise. Okay. No, Alhamdulillah alladhi khalaqa as-samawati wa ja'ala adh-dhulumat wan-nur, which means Allah praise and due to God. Yeah. So that's the second designation. Yeah. Sorry.
As you can see, mashallah, he's very well acquainted with the Arabic language. Alhamdulillah, I got someone from mainstream Shiite population, which is different to the previous debate, which, to be fair to the Shia community, wasn't representative of the mainstream. I know from humility, he doesn't want me to say this, but really, he was someone who is very well established in the Shia community and very respected. Now let's get straight into it. I want to say to you this, that when it comes to Islam, the basic tenets of Islam, the pillars of Islam, we have something called Hadith Jibreel, which is very, very well known. It's narrated by Umar al-Khattab, where the Prophet was asked, what is Islam? So he says that Islam, and then he quoted Shahadat la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and he quoted the 5 pillars of Islam, the Shahada, the Salah, the prayers, etc. He was asked, then what is Iman? So, أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله, and to believe in Allah and His angels and His books, etc. Yeah, and there are 6 of those pillars of Iman. If you look at the Shia books, you'll find that there's a very similar narration, but with one notable exemption. You'll find in the book narrated by Baqir, one of the Imams, one of the 12 Imams. He was asked, what is basically Islam? So he said, بني الإسلام على 5 أشياء. Yeah, he says that Islam was built upon 5 things: as-salah, prayer, was-siyam, and fasting, was-zakah, and giving zakah, which is charity, wal-hajj, a hajj, and then the 5 things, wilaya. What is wilaya? Really is almost interchangeable with the word imama. Imama is the idea that there are 12 different infallible entities who are, as we've said, according to the hadith of Zurara, which is in Al-Kafi, higher than the prophets. They're higher than the prophets, except for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the Shia belief. My simple question is this, and I've repeated this question once, but I'll repeat it again. Can we have one example from the Quranic discourse, from the Quran, من فاتحة الكتاب إلى خاتمة الكتاب, from the Fatiha إلى Surah Al-Nas, where we actually find that this imamah, which is an asl min usul al-din, which is aqidah, which is what Islam is meant to be built upon. And in fact, Al-Baqir, when asked this question, he said, in fact, wilaya is more important than everything else. It's more important than the rest of the 5 pillars. If it's so important, my question is, where is it to be found in the Quran? And obviously today, you, subhanAllah, you're the one who actually came to me and said, let's just focus on the Quran. So let's just focus first and foremost on the Quran. If you ask me to prove any of the Arkan al-Khamsa, of the 5 pillars of Islam, from the Quran, easy. If you ask me to prove any of the 6 pillars of Iman from the Quran, very easy. Now I'm just telling you to give me one unequivocal, one unambiguous verse, which is to be found in the Quran, from the beginning to the end of the Quran, which references this idea that we are meant to follow the Imams, and commands us to follow the Imams in a similar way as it commands us to follow the Prophets. And this is a very simple proposition for me. I don't want to overcomplicate it. What you said was right. In the Quran, when we talk about the usage of the word Imam, in Surah Al-Hijr and in Surah Hud and in Surah Yasin, yes, the word Imam means book. In Surah Al-Sajdah, it's referred to as just leaders generally. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا. We're talking about Bani Israel. We have made them imams. So you can have a good imam and you can have a bad imam, because in Surah Al-Qasr.
And actually the Jews, they had kings also, right? Allah would appoint them kings. Like one of the kings mentioned in the Quran is Talut or something. I forget the name. I think it's Talut. Anybody can correct me or write it in the comments if they know the name of a Jewish king mentioned in the Quran.
it also says, وَجَعَلْ
Also Sulaiman, David, but I mean, there was not a king mentioned.
مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ in Surah Al-Qasas, chapter 28 of the Quran. And you can have an imam which you have to fight, as is mentioned in Surah Al-Tawbah, فَقَاتِلُوا أَئِمَّةَ الْكُفْرِ. So fight the imam of kufr, the imams of kufr. So the Quranic usage of the word imam is generic. It just literally means either one of three things. Either means it's a leader, any leader, or number two, it means a book, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ in Surah Yasin, chapter 36 of the Quran, or it could mean something like a pathway. This is the three things, the three meanings that imam comes with in the Quran. We don't disagree with these three meanings.
Okay, so I've never heard this before, that imam can mean a path. Like, I know the word imamat, they use that. It's kind of like an anglicized Arabic word, right? Take imam and you make it imamat or something. I think that's what the word is, right? It's anglicized. I've never heard that imam means path, or I always thought it means like a leader, basically. And he mentioned another third meaning. I forget what that was just now.
I'm saying, how do you extrapolate from this the idea that you have 12 men? I'm not saying necessarily that we're 12, but just the idea we have to follow these infallibles after the Prophet Muhammad. Can you give us a verse? Salah alaihi wasallam.
Thank you very much, Muhammad. Well, I think you clearly went off topic, because I made it clear in the beginning of my opening statement that I'm not going to speak about this
discussion, right?
So I'm going to ask you again not to refer to this topic. Secondly, I said that I didn't say is it explicit or is it non-explicit. Please argue and please try to refute my arguments. I'm not speaking what's explicit, what's not explicit. Please, be accurate.
Oh, sorry.
Apologies. Yeah, be accurate with your misconceptions that you're throwing towards me right now. And third of all, you mentioned three meanings in the Quran. Three meanings of the imam, and I still didn't finish, and that's why I divided it. In fact, I gave you a better help by doing differentiating between the two ja'als that we said. So we got the ja'al al-takween and we got the ja'al al-tashri'i, and we brought examples to both of the ja'als. Yeah. Sorry, we didn't bring examples for the second ja'al, which is the divine designation. I'm going to come to the ishkal that you threw. You said that, and I made that clear in the literal meaning of the word imama. It doesn't mean it can mean the leader of the bad or leader of the good. I made that clear in the beginning, and that's the literal meaning. And the example that you brought in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا, what's the ayah? وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ, Surah Al-Qasas, as you said. Yeah, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَدْعُونَ النَّارِ. Yeah, I agree, that's the literal meaning of it. And who said that's the meaning I'm referring to right now? I'm referring to the divine designation. It doesn't make sense for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to divinely designate أَئِمَّةَ أَهْلِ النَّارِ. It has no meaning. So definitely, you're speaking about which ja'al over here? You're speaking about the other one, which is the divine formation, not the divine designation. Because only if you don't believe in the adl ilahi, and that's something related to you. So according to the divine designation, what's the examples of the divine designation? Basically, what we mean by divine designation, we're referring to a non-materialistic choice, we can say, or selection. So basically, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says جَعَلْنَا, for example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says جَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْكَعْبَةَ الْبَيْتَ الْحَرَامِ, Allah has made the Kaaba the sacred house, standing for the people. جَعَلَ اللَّهُ الْكَعْبَةَ الْبَيْتَ الْحَرَامِ قِيَامًا لِلنَّاسِ, standing for the people. If you look at it, that's not a materialistic position, is it? It's not materialistic. And that's a different type of ja'al. So when you know it's not materialistic and Allah makes it in a particular way, you know that Allah wants it to be that way. So we can say that this is a divine designation. And what does divine designation mean? It means this whole position of imam that we're speaking about is divinely designated. So is there more into it? Yes, there is more into it. You're going to have to wait for it. So that's the divine designation. Now, after differentiating between the two types of the divine actions, the divine designation and the divine formation, we're going to come to other verses. We're going to come to discuss the verse subject of matter, and I think we're going to, I don't know how long we're going to stay in this, but we're going to stay stay in it as long as it takes. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. قال ومن ذريتي قال لا ينال عهد الظالم. And I previously mentioned the translation of it, so inshallah when I do this istidlal, I'm going to translate the verses that I need. I want to prove in this verse 5 things. From this verse and other verses together, but this is going to be my main verse. The imamah is a position different than the position of nubuwwah. That's the first thing. The second thing, the imamah is divinely designated, and I think I already proved that. I'm not going to bother doing it again, only if Muhammad asks me, and I think he will. The third thing is going to be the imam has the only hidayah and guidance that deserves to be followed. I'm also going to bring the ayat for that. The fourth thing, the imam has to be infallible, and that's something I know, this is crazy believing. I know lots of people think that. The fifth thing is going to be that the position of imamah is a continuous position. It's not ended in Zaman Nabi Allah Ibrahim or the era of Nabi Allah Ibrahim.
So believing in imams, divinely appointed, or however you want to explain it, or however they believe it, is like a belief, right? It's a belief. So when you want to speak about your beliefs to other people, they want you to give proofs, right, for what you're saying. So that's why they're looking at the Quran today in this video.